In Germany, another NGO works. It's called My Country Talks, and they bring together people with different opinion. It was a huge success in Germany. In Germany, more than 10,000 people participated in the events, exactly what we do now in Thailand. In Germany, there are quite similar problems that are in Thailand. The society is very, very polarized. There are some things you cannot really talk about it anymore.
I believe on the rise in the world today, and that is the issue of polarization and how there seems to be an increasing amount of topics that we find it so difficult to talk to each other about. One of them has been the advent of the coronavirus pandemic, which has meant that many of us have stopped going into the office. We work from home. We work online. The work that I do is all about developing human potential and creating environments where each of us can be ourselves as fully as possible, where each of us can contribute our unique gifts to whatever it is that we are working on, and particularly to support people in being able to deal with other people, because in actual fact, that seems to be one of the hardest and most challenging things for us in life. I was really interested to see Harvard Business Review article, which they had been analyzing exit interviews from organizations as to why people leave organizations. And according to the report, 86% of the time that people leave organizations, they're not leaving the organization, they're leaving a person, usually their boss, and that's the reason that they're leaving. So this issue of how do we get on with each other, how do we connect with each other, and how do we get things done together has been an area of deep interest of mine for the last 33 years. 16 years ago, I had the great good fortune. I mean, I consider it to be one of the most fortunate things that happened to me in my life. I had the opportunity to study with a woman called Nancy Klein. Nancy Klein is American, but she lives in the UK, and she is the author of a body of work called The Thinking Environment. And the thinking environment begins with an observation. The work of the thinking environment started. It's going to sound really obvious. The quality of everything we do in our lives depends on the quality of the thinking. Actually, we need to be thinking, and thinking for ourselves, first of all, and then thinking together in ways that challenge what we already know and open us up to new possibilities. Polarization is an issue of disconnection, not one of disagreement. And again, I think that's an incredibly powerful and important idea for us to connect with, because we think polarization is an issue of disagreement, that we've become polarized because we don't agree. But it's not because we don't agree, it's because we have disconnected from one another as human beings. It is when we disconnect from each other as human beings that we polarize. So she goes on to say in the book, we disconnect. As a result of disconnecting, we polarize. We judge the other as irretrievably wrong and ourselves as unassailably right. We disconnect further. We polarize more. Connection is the thing that diminishes polarization, is because when we connect with each other, we start to hear each other. And when we start to hear each other, we start to understand what people need. And once people feel that their needs are being met, they calm down, and it's easier for them to connect with us And so the opposite of the polarization cycle starts to happen, and we start to build connection as human beings. And even if we disagree with each other, we can listen to each other and we don't polarize. Is to just ask yourself this question: how related do I feel to that person? Like, how much relationship do I experience having with them? And especially if it was somebody that you'd never met before, but that actually you've come away from this really short period of time with actually quite a strong feeling of relationship with this person. Isn't that fascinating? When we make this promise to listen without interruption and to be genuinely interested in each other's thinking as thinkers, we go below the waterline. We get below the waterline of the iceberg very quickly, actually, and we connect. And we connect as human beings across difference. So the difference starts to fall away, and what we experience is our connection as human beings to our two worlds of thinking. So what we did in that last exercise was we left the world of exchange thinking, the normal thinking world that we're in, and we got into this world where each of us created this moment of fully independent thinking for each other. So you listened and that other person was able to think for themselves, and they listened and you were able to think for yourself. In order to listen to ignite someone else's thinking, you actually have to manage your attention in 3 different places all at the same time. So imagine these 3 different places as if they are streams of attention. So the first stream is you're listening to the content of the thinker's thinking. You're staying interested in where their thinking is going next, as well as hearing the words that they're saying. And you've also got this other stream, which is that you're paying attention to how you're treating them, which is our 10 components of a thinking environment. So you're being genuinely interested, you're being equal, you're being at ease, you're showing appreciation, you're okay with their feelings, you're welcoming their feelings, you're giving them courage in the way that you're listening to them. So the way you're treating them is something that you're paying attention to as well. And in between these 2 streams, you've got this part of you which responds all the time. So what you're doing in order to offer this, what we call generative attention in a thinking environment, in other words, a quality of attention that actually helps the other person to just say what they want to say and keep going, you're actually occupying your response, the part of you that is normally listening to reply, you're occupying it, you're giving it a job, and that is to be interested in their thinking and to offer them a thinking environment. In other words, to treat them in this particular way, to be with them in this way that says back to them, you matter to me, and I'm interested in where you're going in your thinking. So go there, because I'm not going to interrupt you. If you can go away and you can teach one other person this idea of listening without interruption and with genuine interest and taking turns, taking equal turns, and then you just practice with them. And then slowly from there, we can build out in, like ripples in a pond. We can build out to a world where people listen with genuine interest to each other and stay connected. And that way, I think we can end the other virus that we've got, which is the virus of polarization. We've got
เปิดเหตุและผลให้ฟังบ้างอาจไม่เข้าใจอย่างน้อยวันนี้ก็ได้คุยกัน